Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. Apologies for being just a couple of moments late. We were just trying to admit people from the waiting room. So, good afternoon. My name is Noreen Keane, and I'm Head of Student Counselling here in LIT. And I just really today, in reaching out to you, wanted to look at some tips and strategies and helpful hints that you might use to mind your mental health and well-being during this pandemic, which is COVID-19. And just looking at the my first slide there, you know, sometimes all you can do is just hang on. And I think that speaks volumes in and of itself. Right now, I think basically most of us are just hanging on. So the areas I'd like to cover today, survival mode. There is nothing normal about COVID-19 and its impact. New year, new semester. The importance of self-compassion. What's in my control and what's out of my control. The little things, no hugs. The online virtual space. The importance of routine and structure in my self-care. COVID-19 fatigue, which I believe we're all experiencing. And the importance of reaching out. And when I'm done with that, there's going to be a questions and answers section. And Josh, my wonderful administrator, is going to moderate those questions, and I'm happy to take any questions. So there's a Q&A section on this live session. So please feel free to type in any questions that you may have, and I'll do my absolute best to answer them. Okay. So hugs, just a word about hugs. And ironically, and probably importantly, and I don't ever believe there's such a thing as coincidence, today is actually International Hug Day. We are all missing hugs. And in relation to hugs, you know, we all saw that wonderful young man, Adam King, that little hero on the Late Late Toy Show, and his message of virtual hugs that Post and everybody else took on. And it's so, so important. So we're all missing hugs. So close your eyes and get a little quiet. Think of the person you miss the most, and you can feel their warmth and their touch, for your body remembers the importance of hugs. And we will hug again soon. Just a word about survival mode and fear. We are all in survival mode. This is nothing but normal. This is so not normal. People talk about the new normal. There is nothing normal about what we're experiencing. COVID-19 is an emergency global pandemic. So when any of us are faced psychologically with a major emergency, our bodies automatically go into fight or flight mode. So fight is like that we try and survive and almost face the situation head on. And for other people, the flight mode, wanting to escape, and particularly now with the restrictions, so, you know, I think many of us would like a flight out our front door, to get in the car and go for a drive further than 5K, etc. And everybody has that window of tolerance. So some people can tolerate more crises, more restrictions, more difficulties than others. We are all different in that. And this is a trauma, you know, it's fear-based. It's normal to feel fearful about COVID-19 and its impact. COVID-19 has impacted every facet of our lives and is continuing to do so. From how we work, how we learn, how we're parenting, homeschooling for those that have children at home, to what we can do, to where we can go. Not to mention those people in our families, in our friend groups, in our neighbourhood, whom we know who have COVID, who've had COVID and thankfully recovered, and tragically, those that have lost their lives to COVID. So what happens when we're in trauma? In a trauma response, you can feel helpless, disconnected, overwhelmed, or frozen. And I'm sure most of us, including myself, has felt all of those at one stage or other throughout this pandemic, now that we're in our third lockdown. It's normal to feel helpless. It's very normal to feel disconnected at the minute because we are apart from so many people in our circle, in our lives, whom we love and care for. It's normal to feel overwhelmed and frozen. Our whole sense of predictability is gone, you know. It's very hard to predict what's happening tomorrow. You know, all we can do is stay in the now today. It's normal to feel that sense of immobility. It's like, I can't do this, I can't do that, and almost feeling frozen on that. The lack of connection, you know, wanting to hug someone, as I said earlier, to see somebody, to have that networking conversation, be it with a classmate or with your colleague at work, or just even your neighbour, to have that cup of tea. Numbing out, almost zoning out when it becomes too much. The loss of time, sense of the future. Not many of us really know what dear time we have at the minute. It's hard to have that structure and that sense of you know, even what day it is, because one day seems to merge into the next. And there's also that loss of sense of safety, that our lives as we have known them, you know, certainly for me, and I'm sure for everybody else, are it's very different to how it has been before COVID, pre-COVID. So we're in a new year, new semester, January, the most difficult month of the year, but more than any year, most difficult this year. We all make New Year's resolutions. I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to walk, I'm going to join the gym, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do the other. I would be saying at the minute, New Year's resolutions, why? Just hanging in there may be enough. Maybe you're just doing the best you can to survive and get through every day. And that's okay. Try to foster some self-compassion. You know, we're all very good at being compassionate towards other people, caring for other people, being kind to other people. What about that self-care, that self-compassion? And say, you know, it's okay if I don't lose that stone, or get out for that walk every day, or it's okay if I've had a treat and maybe I shouldn't have had it, you know. Those shoulda, coulda, wouldas, you know, try just to be a little bit gentle with yourself. And that each day, you know, just try to say, you know, it's okay, I'm doing the best that I can. I'm really doing the best I can to juggle my life, my work, my home life, you know, in whatever context you're in, whether you're a student right now sitting in your bedroom, online and going from class to class, or whether you're a staff member really struggling with the virtual space and the lack of connection with your colleagues. You know, try to have that piece of self-compassion, you know, and that might be having the cup of coffee. It might be allowing yourself to take a breath. Try not to overpressurize yourself, you know. Set realistic goals and expectations. I find what's useful for me is I try to make a list most days of the things I need to do. I don't always get through it, and that's okay, because there's always tomorrow. And again, it's about being realistic, doing the best that you can. One day at a time, to stay in the present. There's nothing we can do about the past. You know, we're all asking, when will this be over? I wish I knew the answer. None of us do. But what we do know is it will be over. But all any of us can do right now is stay in the present moment just for today. So try and pull back to today. What do I need to do today? What's important for me right now? From hour to hour, one day at a time. And doing the best that you can in very difficult circumstances. These are critical times. This is an emergency situation that we are all in. None of us could ever have predicted this. So the importance of control and looking at control. What can I control and what can I not control? What I cannot control? I found this little art piece and I think it's really good. So I'm just going to look first about what you cannot control. So, you know, at the beginning of this pandemic, particularly in the very early stages, you know, there was such a run on toilet paper and bread in particular. You nor I cannot control the amount of toilet paper at the store or any other supplies at the store for that matter. You or I cannot control how long this pandemic will last. You cannot control how others will react. You cannot control other people's lives or motives. You cannot predict what will happen. You cannot control the actions of others. So whether they're wearing their masks, whether they follow the restrictions, whether they follow the guidelines, you cannot control that. And or if others follow the rules of social distancing, you cannot control that either. So instead, what I'm suggesting is that you focus on these things. My positive attitude, trying to have a positive attitude. That's difficult at the minute, but finding the positive in the smallest of things. How I follow the CDC recommendations and the public health guidelines. My own social distancing. When I say a word about turning off the news, you know, certainly in the first phase of this pandemic, I found myself becoming quite overwhelmed and looking at every news briefing and every press briefing, and it just became almost too much. So limit your intake of news and information. Limit your social media. There's an awful lot of mixed messages on social media. There's a lot of negativity on social media. If you allow that into your space all day, every day, again, it can overwhelm. Your kindness and grace, and that's kindness and grace towards yourself and others. And finding fun things to do at home. We may be limited, we may be restricted, we are, and I acknowledge that many people are in very, very difficult situations in their homes. Well, finding something that may give you some piece of pleasure in that space. So the little things, I've taken this from yourmentalhealth.ie, which is a HSE and a healthy campus initiative. Practicing self-care. What things can I and can you do? Finding, maybe discovering some new interests and hobbies. Lots of people have been telling me stories about a lot of students we've been dealing with about learning new skills, baking, playing the guitar. Somebody was playing the ukulele. Some students have been having come dine with me evenings, virtual quizzes, etc. I think we've all been baking somewhat, but doing the things, you know, that maybe are quite therapeutic and switch off from the work or the study. Being active, getting out for that walk, bit of fresh air, a run within your allowed distance, but getting out there and seeing, you know, some brightness, some sun, some daylight. Staying in your room all day or at your desk all day or working all day, you know, the evenings are getting a bit longer. there's a bit more space. Asking for help, saying, be it with your colleague, your classmate, your friend, your partner, your family, asking for help if this is too much. And then there's professional supports as well available, and I'll talk about those in a minute. But reaching out, eating healthily, it's very easy. We're at home by the cupboards. It's very easy to keep picking away. Trying to have a healthy routine, proper meals, and good nutrition. Connecting with others, even if it's virtual, but keeping up contact with your friends and your family and your classmates and your colleagues, be it in WhatsApp groups, having virtual coffees, virtual, connections, be it through Facebook or, anything that kind of works. Telephone, don't underestimate the importance of a telephone call, text, Snapchat, Instagram, whatever works for you. And learning to manage your stress. Everybody is stressed at the minute and the level of anxiety is palpable. So sometimes just actually learning to breathe and making time to relax. So if that's a soak in the bath, a long hot soak in the bath, or 5 minutes sitting down with a cup of coffee, or maybe if you've no space in your house, locking yourself in the bathroom, for those few moments, just to get a bit of me time and a bit of space. Cannot underestimate the importance of a good sleep. Trying to get maybe minimum 7 hours a night, and particularly students, those of you, I suppose, maybe with less structure at the minute, staying up half the night and staying in bed half the day really on a consistent basis isn't good and will impact on your functioning. So try to pull that back and get some kind of a regular routine, trying to get up at the same time and go to bed more or less at the same time. And maybe at weekends then you can have a lie-in, but just again to have that bit of structure and trying to find some structure and routine in the day. See it as a regular college day or a regular work day. Routine and self-care. So just kind of, I suppose, reinforcing what I've said in the previous slide. So having a daily regular routine, getting up at the same time and trying to go to bed at approximately the same time, having your breakfast, lunch and dinner and snacks, and taking breaks. It's really important. Breathe. We all breathe to stay alive, but actually learning to breathe and taking, when things get really, really overwhelming, just learning to take that deep breath right down into your belly and just breathing in and breathing out and exhaling. And you'll be amazed the difference that that'll make, almost in that sense of being back in your body, in grounding yourself. And do that as often and as regularly as you need to during the day. I just want to say a word about mindfulness, relaxation and meditation. These are things that we hear a lot about, but are very, very important. There's loads of very useful apps and resources. We all have smartphones now. A couple of them in particular, there's one called Calm, there's another one called Anxiety Free. There are several, there's loads of mindfulness apps. Find the one that works for you. There's different meditations, different exercises on them. And if you can incorporate just 5 minutes per day, every day, maybe at the start of the day, it'll set you up for the day and have you in that mindful, more present place and help you be better able to face that day. Having some form of exercise, whether that's a walk or whether it's, if you've an exercise bike or something at home, if it's just, jumping up and down, or lots of people are following Joe Wicks and, whatever works for you. But something to get the body mobilized, because it's in that immobilization and crisis and trauma that actually makes us further disabled in ourselves. Whereas if you can mobilize, it actually gets all the good hormones going, and better than any antidepressant really. Okay, sleep. I spoke about sleep and the importance of sleep and sleep hygiene. And when I talk about sleep hygiene, so it's not just about getting enough sleep, it's about being able to wind down properly before you go to sleep. So disconnecting from social media, turning off the phone, turning off Facebook, turning off whatever online platforms you're on, even with your college work, those of you that are students, turning it off, winding down, doing something, you know, more relaxing before bed. Because if you're in bed scrolling, and I've done it myself, you know, it's like you're always on. And I know that when I have done it, it really impacts on my ability to switch off, wind down, and prepare for sleep. Nutrition, you know, as I said, healthy meals, and also allowing yourself to have some treats as well. It's not about, you know, you've got to be super healthy, you know, everything in balance and in moderation. Um, Hobbies and interests, you know, lots of us cannot do the hobbies or be in the clubs and do the things that we're normally used to doing, but finding alternatives or other ways of enjoying those hobbies and stimulating your interests. Find something new to do. What's the one thing that you always said, geez, if I had time, I'd love to do this? Well, maybe now is the perfect time to take up that. And not as a pressure, but something, you know, as an interest and as some fun. And just talking about fun, you know, having a laugh with your housemates, you know, um, you know, playing board games, card games, whatever. It's amazing. People are kind of, I suppose, starting to do things that maybe a lot of us weren't doing for a long time. Um, and you know, but trying to have that sense of fun, maybe, you know, watching Netflix, watching a comedy, you know, and switching off from online and social media, as I said, because of the negativity, you know, that it can really I suppose permeate that negativity and bring you to quite a dark place. The importance of reaching out, staying connected when we are apart. So as I said, you know, staying connected to your family, to your friends, to your colleagues, your classmates. Um, if you're struggling, pick up that phone, text, reach out, email. Reach out for professional help and support if you're struggling and you just feel you cannot get out of this dark place or hole, or you just, you know, you just can't function. It's just way too difficult for you. Please reach out. Student counselling perspective, we're here for all students, all registered students. It's counselling@lit.ie, and our telephone number, Josh is our administrator, every day, 293 129, 061 293 129. Give him a call and we'll arrange an appointment for you. Albeit at the minute, for the most part, they are virtual, but we will meet you and we will meet you on video and we will support you. We have some very helpful resources on our website, on our webpage. So that's www.lit/counselling. And also we have a 24/7 free text line that's available to all members of the LIT community. So that's both staff and students. So all you need to do is text LIT to 50808. And other support. So yourmentalhealth.ie is very helpful and useful resources. And they also have a helpline that's 1-800 111 888. That's 1-800 111 888. And there's a new national free phone bereavement support line, which has been launched by the Irish Hospice Foundation in conjunction with the HSE. And this is a national free phone service. And that's 1-800 80 70 77. And that's available Monday to Friday from 10 until 1. And if you have been bereaved by COVID-19, I think it's really important that you reach out and get that support. And for staff, you know, our LIT staff who have just been and continue to be absolutely amazing in their support of our students. And I really want to say that the support they have given has been incredible. And not one staff member has said no to me with any request to support a student, and have gone above and beyond and continue to do so, the call of duty in these very difficult times, whilst also grappling with the online space that we're all trying to come to terms with in this technological world. There is an employee assistance program managed by our Human Resource Department, and the username for that is VHI Limerick IOT. And within that program, there is counselling and lots of support and advice. So please, if you are struggling, do reach out, and it is completely confidential to you. So, any questions? So Josh, do we have any questions?
Hi Noreen. So
Hi.
at the moment there's no questions in the chat. If anyone would like to ask any questions there, please feel free to put it into the Q&A there, and I can get Noreen to answer them for you.
And equally, if anybody would rather email me personally or just want to put in a question, that's fine too. My email is my name, noreen.keane@lit.ie. I'm happy to come back and answer any questions you have. But if there are any questions right now, please feel free.
I'm just going to put in the contact details for myself and Noreen there into the Q&A. If anyone doesn't feel comfortable, they, as Noreen said, we're happy enough for you to get in contact with us directly then.
Thank you, Josh. So whilst we're waiting to see if there's any questions, I'm just going to go to my final slide. Because I found this and I thought it was really, really nice. So I'm just going to go with this for you. So, and this is to each and every one of us. So to that one soul reading this, I know you're tired, you're fed up, you're so close to breaking, but there's strength within you, even when you feel weak. Keep fighting. And that's all we can do at the minute, is keep fighting.
So Noreen, we just have one question in there for any tips on self-care.
Yeah, well, the tips on self-care really, it's finding those little things that you can do. So, what I was talking about there really, having that daily routine, minding yourself. So, listening to your body, when you're hungry, eat. If you're thirsty, drink. They're the basics. Finding a bit of me time, a bit of me space in the midst of all of this. So, having that long hot shower or that bath or that walk, picking up the phone and calling a friend. If too many people are leaning on you or you're really under pressure, maybe setting some clear boundaries, that it's okay to say no, you don't have to say yes all of the time. Particularly a word for parents, because I'm really, I too am a parent, working full time and now trying to homeschool, etc. Particularly those parents, find that bit of space or time at that end of the day. So whether it's that half an hour watching something on Netflix, or whether, it's sitting down with that cuppa, or, having a glass of wine, or, calling a friend or whatever, finding that bit of space for you, and getting up and just say getting up and getting dressed properly every day. The temptation to stay in the jammies or kind of, particularly for students maybe, and not bothering, treat it as a regular day. Get up, make your bed, have your shower, have your breakfast, having your meals, and having some little treats as well, that's okay. Everyone's allowed treats. It's all about balance, really. And maybe finding some type of interest or exercise you might like. So whether that's yoga, whether that is having a run, whether that is going for a walk, nature maybe, finding time outside, and I suppose enjoying those things really, and within your 5K, seeing what things you can actually do. Okay, Josh, anything else?
Yes, there's just one more question there on student there is interested on books on mental health. In line with that, I'd just like to say that we have a mental health booklet on our website. If you go to lit.ie/counselling, there's a resources section on that website that has a lot of self-help tips there and different resources in that regard. There are some HSE mental health videos there that are quite beneficial. And there is also our own produced LIT Counselling mental health booklet there, which a lot of people find very useful and it's very informative. So it might be worth having a look at that as well.
Absolutely, and if there are particular aspects of mental health that you're interested in, if you want to drop me an email, and I could suggest some books that might be useful around that, because there's obviously loads of books around mental health, minding your mental health and well-being. But certainly, what Josh is saying, you know, look at our own booklet and any of those HSE resources that we have mentioned really, you know, cover quite a lot. Anything
So yeah,
else?
we just have another very interesting question there of how to not feel guilty when some days we have no motivation to, whether it be college work or whether it be doing a workout or even getting out of bed in the mornings.
How not to feel guilty. Boy, oh boy, if I could eliminate guilt. It's completely normal to feel guilty. And why do we feel guilty? Because we put all these, you know, it's a bit like what I was saying about being gentle with ourselves. We put all these pressures and impositions on ourselves. I must do this, I must do that, I must do the other. Forgiving yourself and saying, it's okay. Today, I did the best that I could, and tomorrow's another day, you know? These are very, very difficult times. And that's why I'm saying that's about that self-compassion, that self-care. It's like, and that's okay. You know, there are days for me, I'm struggling. You know, today is a good day. Tomorrow may not be as good. Monday for me was really difficult day, you know? And I think it's about being honest with yourself and letting yourself off the hook. You know, if somebody else said to you, I suppose, you know, if you think about what you'd say to somebody else if they didn't do something or they didn't get their workout in or they didn't, or, you know, you see people, I suppose there's a lot of pressure on this, you know, even around, you know, going for that walk or you know, I see people doing this, you know, walking for 100 days and you couch to 5K, and so many people are doing all of these particular activities and that. And I don't know about you, but for me sometimes that puts pressure on me. It's like, oh my god, I should be doing that 100K or a 100-day walk, and I should do this and I should do that. And you know what, it's about what can I do, what's realistic, what am I able for. So checking in with your body and checking in with yourself and say, and some days, you know, the fact that you got up and got out of the bed is maybe as much as you could do today, and that in and of itself is an achievement, you know. And some days will be better than others. So I think just be really gentle with yourself and encouraging yourself and saying, you know, it's okay. Tomorrow's another day, you know. Anything else, Josh?
We've no more questions there at the moment.
Okay.
There's nothing after coming in anyway.
Okay. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, you know, it's just been really lovely to reach out to you in this virtual space. And as I said already, and Josh has put into the chat or into the Q&A section our details, please feel free to reach out if you need to at any stage. We are here and we're here to support you. And, you know, I also want to acknowledge that I have a most wonderful student counselling team. And, you know, it's not just me. I'm in the fortunate position of managing a fantastic team of both full-time and part-time student counsellors across all campuses. So we are available to you, whatever campus you're on. Please do reach out if you need to. And also a huge thank you to Josh, my administrator, who's just been you know, has made this process of even reaching out to you in this live format so easy. So thank you, Joshua, for moderating the questions.
So we just have one last question there, I
Okay.
think. Just about any tips on dealing with isolation during COVID.
Yeah, I mean, it's very isolating, isn't it? It's really, it depends on, I suppose, how isolated you are. So, you know, if you're somebody that's very much alone and finding that you are very lonely, reaching out to your classmates if you're a student, friends, or, you know, dropping in and joining, I suppose, you know, various events and that might be online, and at least you know that that's something. We in student counselling as well, I omitted to say, is to mention it there, we started this connections club, so we've been running these online groups, and we will be continuing to run those as a means of supporting students to reach out and connect with each other. This is not a therapy group or a counselling group, it's more like a support group, but facilitated by two members of the counselling team, to help you make connections with other people, and also you know, learn to support yourself in these difficult times. But picking up that phone, sending that email, texting some of the helplines, you know, there is somebody there for you. There is always somebody that you can reach out to. So trying to do that, and maybe, you know, if you are feeling isolated, telling those in your life, you know, how you're feeling. And maybe they may be more conscious of you, and you might make more regular contact with them, and they too might make more regular contact with you. You know, but you are not alone, I suppose, is what I want to say. You are part of the LIT community, and we are here to support you in whatever way that we can. Anything else, Josh?
I think that might appear to be the last of the questions.
Okay. All right. So Josh, maybe we might just end it there. Okay, so a sincere thank you to everybody, and please feel free to get in touch with us should you need to. We are recording this session, so we will put this up as well, so this will be available to everybody. Okay, thank you so much. Bye-bye.